Crime, Wine, and Chaos contains adult language and graphic content. Listener discretion is advised.
Don't make us turn this car around, Chaos Kids. I'm Naomi.
I'm Amber, and this is Crime, Wine, and Chaos. Where are we going?
And why are we in this handbasket?
Why am I in a canoe? Don't make me turn this canoe around.
I almost spit my water out all over my keyboard.
Sorry.
That was so good.
I don't think I could.
Why am I in this canoe?
I don't think I could turn a canoe around.
No. We can only flip it over. That's it. That fucking canoe.
Fuck.
God damn. Hi, sister.
Hi, sister. Hi.
What's going on with you?
Oh, man. Not a whole hell of a lot. Oh, so guess what? Okay, so Michael and I take turns every month doing date night.
Uh-huh.
And so he's on August, right? We've got it.
What? That's how far out it's planned, or
sometimes if you see, like, for example, tickets or something.
Oh, I see. So you know which month is yours just based on the cadence. So he knows that August comes around, it's going to be his turn. He knows this well in advance.
That's right.
Okay.
And he is fulfilling another one of my bucket list items in August because...
Does it involve a canoe?
No, that would never be on a bucket list. No, it does not involve... I hope not. We took a wrong turn if we're in a canoe.
Better not involve a canoe.
No. We're going to 9 Inch Nails.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, Trent got a lot of shit for that tour and those tickets.
The prices.
Oh, huh?
Well, it was a well-deserved shit because
they're very expensive.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are.
Mm-hmm. Where are they playing when they come through?
Climate Pledge.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited about that. That's up there for me.
Well, I hope it's as good as you hope it to be.
Me too.
Let's put it that way.
Oh, okay. You know, I'm old. I know. I don't hope it to be the way that it used to be because I fear that I might not come home. You know?
There's worse ways to go. You know what I'm saying?
For sure, there are, but I'm not ready to go anywhere.
You don't want to go into the light?
No, it's not time to go into the light. Oh my God.
Oh, do you have any
what just happened?
I don't
Oh my
know.
God, she just took a little nap. What? Mid-sentence nap. Okay.
Oh my God. What is happening today?
Why, you tell me.
I don't know.
She was like, well, do you have any
weeks?
Oh, we lost her. We lost Naomi.
Don't make me cry. Oh, it's too soon. No, you know what? It's been a weird couple of weeks and my head is not on straight right now.
Sorry.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. It's not bad or good. It's just a lot, you know? And I'm just like, what is happening? Every day, like shit coming at me and I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I'm beyond whelmed. I am overwhelmed right now.
I'm sorry.
Good of the order. Do you have anything for the good of the order, sister?
We have a new Chaos Kid Club member.
We do.
Brian P. from Thailand.
Yes, originally by way of Reno.
Exactly. We're all Reno
adjacent at the very least.
Sure.
Hey, Brian, thank you for joining the club. We appreciate you so much.
Thank you. And he sent us a story suggestion, so I will dig into that.
Yes, Amber's going to dig into that because we've learned the hard way that when the listeners make a suggestion, it's dark.
It is dark.
So Amber can go digging into that.
Oh, well, speaking of, you won't be happy with my story today then if you're trying to avoid dark.
Great.
Yeah.
Love it. What about booze? Are you drinking?
You know what?
What are you drinking?
I just have some water today.
What is happening these days with you?
What do you mean? I had booze last week.
Did you?
Yeah.
I feel like you've had water on the show recently.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You should be sorry. You should be apologizing to the Chaos Kids.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I just wasn't feeling it today. I don't know what to say. I have wine. It's not a inventory issue. I'm just not feeling it. You know?
We should pretend you're drinking anyway.
Oh, all right. I've got, if I was pretend drinking right now.
Yes. And then you can have whatever you want.
Does it have to be wine?
No.
Oh, because I love me a Moscow Mule.
I know you do.
Oh, in those cute little copper cups, which I have.
Of course you do.
Yeah, yeah. I used to grow my own mint. But that stopped. I don't have time
and
for
she
that.
slaughtered her own mule.
No slaughtering of mules. And she slaughtered her own.
Is that not how you make those?
Oh God, no. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Nope.
Oh, sister, do you have a crime for me?
I do.
We need to.
I do.
Let's rein it in.
Well, this isn't going to be reining anything in. This is dark.
Great.
We are going to go back to your favorite pastime of horrible teenagers.
Oh, taking a play out of Naomi's playbook.
I didn't know that was the playbook I was getting into until it was too late. That happens to me a lot.
That happens to me too. That happens. You start digging in on a story and you unearth things and you didn't know where you were going when you started.
And then you're like, I want out of here, but
it's too late to turn back. We can't turn the car around.
No.
So we're just going to keep driving down this one lane dirt road into the middle of the dark, dark forest where no one can hear us scream.
Oh, well, that was lovely. Okay. Come with me to 1998. In Johnstown, New York, which is upstate New York.
Okay.
New York State Police come across an abandoned car. They do a routine inspection of the car to try and get some clues as to why it may have just been left here. And when they pop the trunk, they find a deceased young man with some sort of sheet or towel over his head. There were also several heavy blankets covering his body. So this trooper calls for backup, and investigators determined that based on the state of his body, he has likely only been there for a few hours.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. He looked like he was between the ages of 18 and 22 years old. He had blunt force trauma all over his body. He had ligature marks on his wrists and bruising all over his face. His cause of death was strangulation, but he had also been cut with like a knife or a razor, like up and down his arms.
Ugh.
They also found that salt had been poured into his wounds.
Oh my God. Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is torture.
Yes. The autopsy shows even more evidence that is really gruesome. He had bleach poured down his throat. I know. Yeah. I know. So when officers run the plates to the vehicle, it comes back as being registered to a local woman named Amanda. I can't pronounce her last name. I think it's pronounced like Dearson, but it's spelled Dizierson. Dearson, I think. Okay. So Amanda was well known in the community as a good kid. She was raised as a Christian Scientist.
Oh.
Uh-huh. Where they don't believe in medical care, right?
Right.
Yeah. And she also had pretty severe diabetes. So this was a problem.
Yeah.
So as soon as she turned 18, she got her own apartment and basically abandoned that faith and started properly treating her diabetes.
Right.
So detectives go to visit her and she says that she does own that car, but that she hadn't had her car all weekend because she loaned it to her friend, 19-year-old John Morgan.
Okay.
Amanda and John had been dating, and when the police show her a photo of who they found in her trunk, she immediately starts to cry, and she confirms that that is, in fact, John.
That's the boy she was dating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She says she has no idea who would have done this to him, and Amanda said that John, he didn't really have parents growing up. He spent some time in a boys' home. He just had a really troubled childhood. He slept with a baseball bat under his bed, and frequently had made comments about dying young. Like he was just very troubled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But he was also described as super easygoing, easy to get along with, and he was always nice to everybody. He could be a bit intense, but Amanda says that they had a very tight-knit group of friends that all loved John. She told them that his last relationship didn't end well, that his ex-girlfriend wasn't very happy with him.
Okay.
So police want to talk to the ex-girlfriend. This is Jessica. Yeah. So they go to Jessica's house. And when they get to her house, they see that she is visibly very pregnant.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. She says that the last time she talked to John was about 2 weeks ago. And when they tell Jessica that John has been killed, she is completely devastated. She tells them that she doesn't have any animosity towards him. She says that they really did have sort of a dreamy whirlwind romance. They met at school as freshmen, and she said that her and John were like best friends. And her parents really, really liked him. And when they found out that he didn't really have a home, they offered him a room at their house.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. She says they weren't a couple when he first moved in, but they did end up getting together. And it wasn't too long after this that Jessica got pregnant. So a few weeks after John finds out that Jessica was pregnant, that is when the two started hanging out with Amanda, who was also one of John's friends.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a lot of people in here.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So Amanda is 4 years older than Jessica, much more experienced, and she's described as someone who will make sure that the attention is on her.
Amanda.
This is the girl with the car. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of tension between Jessica and Amanda, right?
Right.
Jessica does not like the flirtation that's going on between John and her, and it causes a really big argument between the two of them. And it got so bad that even though Jessica is pregnant with his child, the couple decide to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
So John immediately moves on to Amanda, moves out of Jessica's house. And so as the police are talking to Jessica, she tells them that she was over the breakup by then, and she didn't care that he was dating Amanda. She was pregnant. She had other things to worry about, you know.
Right.
And on the night of the murder, Jessica was out to dinner with her parents, and her parents were able to, I hate saying this word. It makes me feel
corroborate.
disabled. Yeah.
Barbara Wawa.
Barbara Wawa. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So detectives believe that Jessica really didn't have anything to do with his murder. So they start to look at what John was up to in the days leading up to his death. So they learned that soon after he broke up with Jessica, he started spending all of his time with Amanda and his two best friends from high school, Ted Cook and Lucas Whaley. And John was couch surfing at this time and just kind of like partying with his group of friends, just kind of a nomad.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So they learned that in his final days, he was primarily staying at Ted's house. So they head over to talk to Ted. Ted and his mom, Diane Cook, were both home. They were both shocked to hear of John's murder. And Ted says that while John was staying with him, he recently had to kick him out.
Oh.
He said that John wasn't helping out. He was making messes, and he racked up bills on pay-per-view. Probably porn.
Probably.
Right. Or boxing. Like, what else was a pay-per-view thing?
Movies.
Mm.
There was a whole, remember it used to be pay-per-view for movies. Like regular movies. Like if you didn't have HBO, you could still.
Yeah, I vaguely, and it just appeared on your bill, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
God, that sounds so.
And they weren't cheap.
No. That sounds so archaic to me.
I mean, we still kind of have pay-per-view. You can rent movies for like, $5 on Amazon or whatever.
Yeah. Remember Viacom?
Yeah.
Viacom cable. Did Comcast buy them?
I think so.
Okay.
Comcast bought pretty much everybody.
That's true. They own everything. Okay, so he's racking up bills. He's not being a good roommate. Ted tells the detectives that John probably went to Lucas's house after he was kicked out of his house. So now they go talk to Lucas.
Okay.
Lucas is super calm and collected. He said that John did in fact move in with him. And police notice while they're talking to Lucas that he has some bruising on his face. And they ask him where he got that. And he was like, oh, John and I were hanging out when we encountered some dudes that, like, I guess we rubbed them the wrong way. And he said that like a scuffle ensued. And as soon as the scuffle started, John like took off and left Lucas to deal with it on his own, which pissed him off. So he's like, I don't know, making himself sound like he's a better friend to John than John is to him, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. He also tells them that just 1 week prior, John's relationship with Amanda apparently like went down in a shitstorm. Apparently, it all started at Lucas's house when Amanda came by the house looking for John, and she tells John that she's pregnant.
She's pregnant too?
Yeah, so now Jessica and Amanda are both pregnant with his kid. Mm-hmm.
John, it's called a condom. They're not expensive.
They're not expensive. No.
Planned Parenthood has bowls of them on the counter for free.
Mm-hmm. And they did in 1998 too, I'm sure of it.
They did in 1998 too. Mm-hmm. Yes.
But according to Lucas, he says that John starts yelling at Amanda that it's not his baby. He said, I don't want any part of this. You do whatever you want, but you're on your own.
John sounds like a real charmer.
Well, John's been misguided for most of his life, I think.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to...
Or not guided at all.
Yeah, I don't want to speak ill of the...
Sure.
But yes, it's a problem. So after this, Amanda started like spiraling out. He said that in the days following, Amanda started cutting herself. She carved John's name into her arm so deep that she had to have stitches. And then she suffered a miscarriage. So investigators are like, holy shit, this is a lot.
Right.
Yeah. They're like, so basically he's burned bridges with Jessica, Ted, Lucas, and Amanda. So
right.
It could be any one of them that had a grudge.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But they don't have any evidence against any of these people. But then someone comes forward. Ben Whaley, which is Lucas's uncle, contacts investigators. It's Uncle Ben. Love your rice.
Big fan.
Big fan. The pilaf, chef's kiss. So Uncle Ben said that Lucas and Ted came to visit him the same day that John was found in the trunk. Uncle Ted said that they were looking real tired, but seemed kind of jumpy, and they asked him if they could borrow a shovel.
I can't. Your face. Okay. What? What? Okay.
So it's March in upstate New York, and Uncle Ben's like, yeah, you could borrow a shovel, but you won't be able to break any ground in this temperature.
Yeah, it's frozen solid.
Totally frozen solid. So Lucas and Ted are like, oh, okay, thanks anyway, and they left. And he didn't think anything of it at the time until he found out later, of course, about John.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So this was interesting to detectives, but again, not enough to really do anything. So they go back to Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, hey, tell us about your pregnancy. So she tells them that she was pregnant and she miscarried. There's nothing more to tell. They ask her about what John thought about the pregnancy, and she does tell them that he turned his back on her and that she does have an issue with how John takes advantage of people.
Mm-hmm.
She says that the three of them, her, Ted, and Lucas, they did like sort of commiserate one night at Lucas's house about how John has wronged so many people and burned so many bridges with people who were trying to help him.
Right.
So that's when they all decided that he needs to be taught a lesson.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So they call him over to Ted's house under the guise that they're all just going to hang out.
What was that kid's name down in Florida that covered his story? They lured him to the house.
Oh, I don't remember his name, but I know.
Jamie? Was his name Jamie?
Yes.
Something like that?
I think so. Oh, God. I know. So the hangout basically turns into an intervention about John's behavior, but he refuses to apologize. Yep, here's where the trigger warnings come. It's just going to get bad.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. So they tie John to a chair. They shove a sock in his mouth. And Lucas starts by yelling at John that he needs to clean his mom's house, the entire house, to pay off the debt that he racked up while he was there. But John refuses. So Lucas gets so mad that he starts beating John with a mop. And like the chair falls over and he's tied to a chair being beat over the head with the handle of a mop.
Okay.
Amanda claims that she had no idea that this intervention would turn violent, and she said that she left while John was still conscious because she didn't want to be there to see this happen to him. Wouldn't you call somebody? Wouldn't you get them some medical help? Yeah. So they want to see if Amanda is telling the truth. So they bring Ted in. And after some probing, he finally admits that her description of the attack on Ted was true, but she did not leave.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He said that after he was beat with the mop and his chair tipped over, that Amanda requested that they sit John upright because she had something else planned. Ted said that Amanda took out a knife and started slicing his arms.
I knew that was going to be her.
Mm-hmm. And while she was doing this, she was screaming at him about his disloyalty and the loss of her baby. Right. Then Lucas went and got salt that he put into the wounds that Amanda just made. And eventually John passes out from the pain. So they untie him and take him upstairs to lay him down in a bedroom. And when John comes to, Lucas asks him if he has finally learned his lesson, and John nods and then says that he wants a cigarette. So Lucas loosens John's restraints so that he could have a cigarette, but as soon as he is free, John tried to jump out the window. So Ted grabbed the TV and smashed it over John's head.
What?
Mm-hmm.
He grabbed the TV. It must not have been a very big TV.
No.
Okay.
But still chunky.
This is I'm like, this is 1998. It was probably like one of those ones like Dad had in the bedroom.
It looks like it should be 5 pounds, but it's like 105 pounds.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's after the TV over the head that Amanda leaves. So then Lucas and Ted are like, well, we're at the point of no return. And they decided that John just needed to die.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's gone too far. We need to finish it. These are his best friends.
We need to...
Okay, again, how do you have 3 people doing this?
Right.
And not one of them is like, I don't think we should do
Time
this.
out?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God, it's awful. So Lucas and Ted strangle John with a ligature. After they strangle him, John appears to be dead, but they want to be sure. So Ted took a bottle of bleach and poured several ounces down John's throat and all over his body.
Ew.
Mm-hmm.
God.
It's the bleach that's...
It's so...
the bleach down the throat. Yep. So then Lucas calls Amanda and told her that, the deed was done. They drag him downstairs and store him in the backyard shed because they weren't sure what to do. And he stayed there all night.
And then they went looking to borrow a shovel from Uncle Ben.
Yep. That's exactly right. They put him in the trunk of Amanda's car and they headed up to Uncle Ben's for a shovel. And when that didn't work, they park the car and they leave to try to make a new plan. But before they can return to the car, the police have already found it. They've already seen what's happened. I have no words for this.
Do you see me sitting here saying nothing?
Yeah. So all 3 are arrested for the murder of John Morgan. All 3 decided to take a plea. Lucas Whaley and Ted Cook were sentenced to 25 years to life, and Amanda was convicted of kidnapping and was sentenced to 25 years to life. Jessica had no involvement, and her and John's baby Jacob was born a month after his murder.
Wow.
I know. This part made me sad. Jessica said that having Jacob is like having a piece of John's soul with her. Jacob, who is now an adult, says that everyone told him that his dad was someone who would be friends with anyone. And while in some ways that is admirable, he says he would rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is the horrific torture and murder of John Morgan. I
Sister.
hated that. I hated it.
That was awful.
Also, can I say one of my sources was this ridiculous show and the dramatization? Like, there was a person wearing a giant, like, cement devil mask. And I'm like, but why?
What?
It had nothing to do with anything. They were all just like, whoa. I'm like, this is awful.
I hate some of those dramatization ones are the worst.
They're so cringy.
Some of the worst. And the music.
Mm-hmm. Also, this is just an aside and probably really rude, but I'm always shocked when they, at the very end, switch from the dramatization to the real mugshots. And it's like, these people are not cute. Like the seductress Amanda in the dramatization is like, yeah, I might be convinced by her. The real Amanda is like, no. Like you didn't even try and get close.
I mean, they are getting those dramatization actors from like a pool of actors who are usually like pretty attractive people trying to make it in Hollywood. You know what I mean?
Shouldn't you try and get someone that's close?
No, no.
I mean, it was way off. That's all I'm saying. Way off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That part's not important.
Okay, well,
sister, that was horrible.
Thank you.
No, really.
Okay, well,
you know what? Let's
Are you gonna lighten the mood?
Kind of.
Okay, I'll take it.
Sort of.
Oh.
Not really.
So no. So we've gone to yes to no. Okay.
I'm going to shift the mood. How's that?
Okay. It's a sidestep, not a step forward.
Right.
Okay.
We're going sideways. Mm-hmm. And other ways. Okay. I'm going to tell you about Richard Russell.
Okay.
Richard.
Baba Waba.
Richard Russell was born September 19th, 1989 in Key West, Florida. His family moved to Wasilla, Alaska when Richard was like 7. From a very early age, I think before he even turned 7, like when he was a baby almost, his nickname with friends and family was Bebo.
Cute.
Mm-hmm. Richard attended Wasilla High School, where he wrestled and competed in discus in the track and field. He also played well for the football team. He scored 6 touchdowns in his senior year, which led him, after graduating high school in 2008, to be recruited to the football team at Valley City State University in North Dakota.
Cool.
He ended up leaving North Dakota after not playing much and leaving the team in his second season to enroll in Southwestern Oregon Community College in Coos Bay.
Okay, I have a funny story about Coos Bay. Michael, I think it's Coos Bay. You know that little tiny town on the very southern tip where Michael's brother lives? Yeah, so like the closest like normal civilization of like, I don't know, stores that you would recognize are in Coos Bay. And
right,
there's a Fred Meyer's there that Michael, swear to God, couldn't find his way out of one day. And he was like, and then he had to take me there because he was like, I'm not kidding. You go in and it's just like this box with like, he's like, I went all around forever and I couldn't get out of this fucking Fred Meyer. And that's all I think about now when I hear Coos Bay.
Oh my God. I can just see it too. Michael lost in Fred Meyer. Trapped in Fred Meyer. Mm-hmm. This is where Richard would meet his future wife, Hannah Strassner, at a Campus Crusade for Christ meeting.
Okay.
Richard volunteered there to mentor high school students. This was 2010. The two were married a year later in 2011, and a month after their wedding, they moved to North Bend, Oregon, and opened a bakery called Hannah Marie's Artisan Breads and Pastries.
Nice.
Roughly 3 years later, in the fall of 2014, after a successful run at being bakers, they both felt too far away from their families and sold the bakery so they could leave Oregon to be closer to them. Richard was unable to convince Hannah to move to Wasilla. Mm-hmm. So in 2015, they moved to Sumner, Washington instead to be closer to Hannah's family.
Okay.
Soon after moving to Washington, Richard got a job working for Horizon Air as a ground service agent. And from what I can tell, this job can consist of many things, from assisting passengers with check-in, boarding, and deboarding process, to loading and unloading baggages to and from the plane, and any number of things related to preparations for the plane on the ground prior to and after
The people with
takeoff
the
and landing. No, not out on the thing.
Oh.
But yeah, they do have the things, I suppose, because they handle like in and around the gate. They are
Gotcha.
the in and around the gate crew.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. Richard's job also appeared to include towing planes around the airport and operating the plane's auxiliary power unit to maneuver the planes on the ground.
Cool.
Richard never imagined that he would work for an airline doing ground crew. Quote, I never thought I would work as a ground service agent, GSA, for an airlines company. I always felt bad for the guys and gals who handled luggage. Every time I traveled, I would look out my plane window and see these sullen-looking individuals leisurely pacing around or hectically throwing bags into a cart. It seemed like such miserable work, and I never could imagine why anyone would want to subject themselves to all the constant noise, gas fumes, and heavy lifting.
Same.
But Richard and Hannah love to travel, and Horizon is a partner airline with Alaska Airlines, which meant Richard could get discounts and deals on flights and travel cheaply and easily back to Wasilla, often to visit his own family, as well as take Hannah to visit places all over the world.
Yeah.
And their love of travel intersected with their love of baked goods as well. Quote, we consider ourselves bakery connoisseurs and have to try a new one every place we go.
God, I want to just travel and go to bakeries.
Right?
Yeah, that's what I want to
Yeah.
do. Mm-hmm.
That's what Richard and Hannah wanted to do too.
Mm-hmm.
Richard enrolled in the social science program at Washington State University's global campus. His plan after receiving his degree was to either apply for a management position at Horizon or become a military officer. I also read somewhere that he was considering maybe even becoming a police officer.
Okay.
Richard and Hannah also found a church near their new home where he was an active member while also taking on a leadership role in the local Christian youth ministry Young Life, where Richard spent time helping troubled kids.
Mm-hmm.
After working at Horizon for about 2.5 years, in September of 2017, he started a blog to talk about and document the contrast between working on the ground crew at SeaTac Airport and his travel life with Hannah. He also started a video project that he began documenting on his blog that included conducting interviews with his fellow ground crew workers. Here, he included updates on the progress of his project, commentary on some of his college courses, as well as photos of work and his travels with Hannah all over the world.
Fun.
He graduated cum laude with a degree in social sciences in 2017, and his last blog post was December 8th, 2017. And by all accounts, he was living a pretty good life.
Mm-hmm.
Richard's coach in high school described him as, quote, an all-American kid who was super gregarious, funny, and a hard worker. Co-workers would say that Richard was well-liked and quiet. Friends and family said he was goofy, reliable, and compassionate. Richard was never one to break the rules. He was extroverted, and his family called him, quote, a handful. But it seemed that the wildest thing he had ever done was shotgun a can of Mountain Dew.
Okay.
His senior yearbook quote was a Bible verse. Whoever enters an athletic competition wins the prize only when playing by the rules.
I like that.
So
Not
Richard's
for Bible
actions,
verses, but...
I mean, yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. But I am a rule follower.
I know you are.
Thank you.
So Richard's actions on August 10th of 2018 would baffle everyone who knew the 28-year-old.
Okay.
He arrived at SeaTac International Airport and clocked onto his regularly scheduled shift at 2:35 p.m. It was a beautiful Friday afternoon in Seattle. That kind of August day that makes visitors think they want to live here.
Oh, that's how we trick people.
Uh-huh. The high was 82 degrees with a low that night set to be 79 and barely a cloud in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Sunset that night would be 8:30 p.m. Around 7 p.m. or so, about 4.5 hours into his shift, Richard used his employee badge to access the tug and remote cargo area. Tugs are exactly like they sound. They are vehicles they use to move aircraft on the ground between the hangar and the tarmac and to position them at the gates. Just like a tugboat moves larger boats, these trucks or vehicles move aircraft around on the ground. Mm-hmm. This is where Richard found Horizon Air Q400, a 76-passenger aircraft, unguarded, with no lock on the door and an empty cockpit.
No.
Richard went out and hooked the tug onto the plane all by himself, moved the wheel blocks, and boarded the plane. He started the engines, got out, got back into the tug, and turned the plane to face the runway.
No.
No one noticed this was happening because the plane was kind of hidden between two other planes in the gate area. Richard got back on the plane, went into the cockpit, got the propellers turning, and taxied that fucker right out onto the tarmac.
No.
This is when air traffic control, henceforth referred to as ATC, finally saw what was happening and asked Richard to confirm his call sign. Another pilot, an Alaska Airlines pilot, hopped into the conversation to warn that this plane was rolling down the runway.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
At 7:33 p.m., Richard had liftoff, heading south for Mount Rainier, a 14,500-foot volcano overlooking Puget Sound. This is where we have to take a moment to pause and just appreciate Mount Rainier because
it's beautiful.
People who aren't from here or live here, they just don't understand. Mount Rainier is she is our queen.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. It's part of just the landscape everywhere.
You can see her from everywhere. Mm-hmm. She holds court over the entire Western Washington. She is our queen.
Yes.
We bow to her.
That's right.
So ATC radios the rogue plane. 449. Are you not supposed to be on that aircraft? I did kind of a bad thing, kind of a selfish thing, but it's all good. I'm going to go check out Rainier.
What?
So you hijacked the plane is what you're saying. Yeah, I'm afraid I did. Then the mic cuts in and out and ATC hears start it up, get it to go a couple hours, I guess, but I wouldn't know how to land it. I wasn't really planning on landing it.
Oh my God.
Then the recording picks up someone named Andrew at ATC suggesting they will find somebody who knows how to fly one of those aircraft to try to guide Richard through the process while he's flying south towards Mount Rainier National Park. Richard replies, "Alrighty, yeah, I just kind of want to do a couple maneuvers, see what it can do before I put it down."
He's joyriding in a plane?
Yes.
Out of nowhere. Just lost his ever-loving mind.
Yes.
Okay. Oh my God.
The connection cuts out again for a second, and then Richard says, "Sorry, my mic came off. I threw up a little bit. Shoot, man, I'm sorry about this. I hope this doesn't ruin your day."
Sorry, it's not funny.
No, it's hilarious.
He's unhinged.
It's
oh my God. Okay.
only 15 minutes after getting into the air, NORAD, the North American Aerospace Defense Command, lost sight of the plane on the radar as Richard passed by Mount Rainier. Andrew has become the voice keeping contact with Richard, and Andrew asks him, "You can see all the terrain around you? You've got no issue with visibility or anything?" "Nope, everything's peachy clean. I just did a little circle around Rainier. It's beautiful. I think I got some gas to go check out the Olympics and yeah."
What?
Richard reappears on the radar at 7:48 p.m. after passing by Mount Rainier, and he loops back northwest towards Tacoma and takes a cruise over the city. Then does a pass over Joint Base Lewis McChord, which is a joint U.S. Army and Air Force base southwest of Tacoma. At 8:15 p.m., about 45 minutes into Richard's joyride in a freaking passenger plane, the Portland Air National Guard base had scrambled 2 F-15 fighter jets loaded up with Sidewinder missiles and air-to-air missiles, actually reaching supersonic speeds on their way to escort Richard.
God, I have the chills. How? Okay. The I have no. Just hold on a second.
Amber's malfunctioning right now.
Yeah. To never have flown before and think I'm just going to give this a go is terrifying.
Insane.
What are you doing? And okay, a passenger plane?
Just wait.
Okay,
I mean, there's no passengers on it.
That's not the point. That's like you've never driven before. Do you steal a Pinto or a fucking motorhome? Not the motorhome when you don't know what you're doing. Like the Barefoot Bandit, Colton, he, not that I'm defending stealing any plane and flying around when you don't know what you're doing, but at least his were little like seaplanes. This is a fucking jet.
Yes, this is a jet.
He's like, just gonna go for a ride. What?
Yep.
Oh my God. It just gives me the chills to think about doing that.
So Andrew tried to take control of the situation. He was urging Richard to try to land at a runway in McCord Field near the Joint Base after Richard said that fuel was burning quite a bit faster than he expected.
Mm-hmm.
And then Richard said, man, those guys would rough me up if I tried landing that. I think I might mess something up there too. I wouldn't want to do that. They've probably got anti-aircraft. Andrew laughs a little and says, no, they don't have any of that stuff. We're just trying to find a place for you to land safely.
Oh my God.
Richard says, yeah, I'm not quite ready to bring it down just yet, but holy smokes, I've got to stop looking at the fuel because it's going down quick.
Mm-hmm.
They told him he was being safely kept away from other planes, and Richard says, I'm glad you're not screwing up everyone else's day on account of me. Richard continues to joyride around the South Sound and Tacoma area while Andrew tries to get him to fly away from Tacoma when Richard says, this is probably like jail time for life, huh? I mean, I would hope it is for a guy like me.
Oh my God.
Well, Rich, we're not going to worry or think about that, but could you start a left-hand turn, please? And then Andrew cuts out while they bring in someone from Horizon to help Richard with the flying.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I mean, I don't need that much help. I played some video games before.
Sorry.
Then Richard makes some comment about making minimum wage and greasing gears with the higher ups at Horizon. And then, damn it, Andrew, people's lives are at stake here. Richard's got jokes.
Uh-huh.
Now, Rich, don't say stuff like that. Andrew is a pro. Like, he's dealt with something like this before.
Yeah,
like,
Andrew's the hero in this story, right?
He is the hero in the story, yes. No, I told you I don't want to hurt no one. I just want you to whisper sweet nothings into my ear. That's what Richard said.
Mm-hmm.
The two continued to go back and forth while Andrew was also trying to instruct Richard on how to turn autopilot on and not concentrate so much on the actual flying of the airplane.
Mm-hmm.
Richard goes, hey, you think if I land this successfully, Alaska would give me a job as a pilot?
Absolutely, Richard. Yeah.
Andrew says, I think they would give you a job doing anything if you can pull this off. Yeah, right. Richard knows this isn't true.
Mm-hmm.
Richard keeps going across the Puget Sound, and Andrew suggests he could bring the plane down in the water. Richard asks if they've been in contact with McCord yet, and then quickly change the topic when he finds out that they have. Hey, I want the coordinates of that orca with, the mama orca with the baby. I want to go see that guy. Because this was around the time that orca had made regional headlines after her second calf died right after birth. And she was carrying the body around on her for like 17 days in her grief.
Oh, my God.
Then Andrew offered other places that Richard could land, but Richard wanted to see the Olympic Mountains. He says, hey, is that pilot on? I want to know what this weather is going to be like in the Olympics. And Andrew's like, well, if you can see the Olympics, the weather's good. I can see the Olympics from my window and it looks pretty good over there.
Wow.
All right, because I hit some sort of like turbulence around Rainier, but there was no clouds hardly. And Andrew tells him, yeah, that's just the wind blowing over all the bumpy surfaces there. Andrew warns Richard that they would lose contact if he got too close to the mountain range, just like what happened when he was at Mount Rainier. And then Richard gets a bit more somber and he says, I've got a lot of people that care about me, and it's going to disappoint them to hear that I did this. I would like to apologize to each and every one of them. I'm just a broken guy. Got a few screws loose, I guess. Never really knew it until now. Man, have you been to the Olympics? These guys are gorgeous. Holy smokes.
What? Oh my God.
Andrew says, yeah, I have been out there. It's a really nice drive. Finally, Andrew tries again to get Richard to make a safe landing with his trip out to the Olympics now complete. Mm-hmm. At first, it seems like Richard is going to do it. He says, all righty. But then he says, hey, pilot guy, can this thing do a backflip, do you think? I think I'm going to land it like in a safe kind of manner. I think I'm going to try to do a barrel roll. And if that goes good, I'll just go nose down and call it a night.
Whoa.
Then Richard checks the fuel and is worried he's almost out and says, I'm just going to do this barrel roll real quick. Andrew says, well, no need to do that. If you could just start a turn to the right and then I'll tell you when to stop turning. But Richard's mind was set. I wouldn't mind just shooting the shit with you guys, but it's all business, I feel like I need to be, what do you think, like 5,000 feet at least to pull this barrel roll off? In the final moments of recorded conversation, the voice on the ground urges Richard, we don't want you to get hurt either, and tried again to get him to land the plane. And then Andrew says, you sure would be a hero if you could pull off this landing. And then I literally wrote, Andrew is the hero in this story.
Yes, he is. My gosh.
There is incredible footage of the plane climbing over the sound, still barely lit by the orange glow of the sun setting, while Richard pulls off a barrel roll, pulling the plane up and back on itself in a wide loop before swooping down along the surface of the water.
Wow.
One of the F-15 pilots reported, TOI-1 just completed a barrel roll. Confirm he did a barrel roll? Affirm he cleared the surface of the water by approximately 10 feet.
Whoa.
Rick Christensen, a retired Horizon employee, told local media he saw the plane make the dive down towards the water. He said, we were all screaming, oh my God, and I was yelling, pull up, pull up. In his final transmission, Richard was hemming and hawing about whether or not to land the plane. All right. Nah, damn it. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to. I was kind of hoping that that would be it, Then he paused and realized that there is an issue with the plane. He said he thought one of the engines was going out, maybe. Andrew told him to stay over the water, and Richard flew back out over the Puget Sound before crashing it into Ketron Island, which is a tiny and barely populated island in the south of Puget Sound at 8:43 p.m.
Oh my God.
Richard's flight lasted a total of 71 minutes and he died on impact. The FBI investigation that followed concluded that the descent into the ground was intentional and Richard's death was ruled a suicide. The crash did start a fire, but was contained fairly quickly and no other people were harmed by the crash or the fire.
This isn't an island that is inhabited at all?
There's like 20 people that live on this little tiny island.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. No one was hurt.
Of course, the FBI had to also determine motive, looking for ties Richard may have had to terrorists or wider criminal activity or some such thing, but no ties of the kind could be found. And even after extensive interviews with Richard's coworkers, friends, and family, they couldn't find any clues to give anyone a clear understanding of what the fuck made Richard do that.
Nothing.
The best they could come up with were a couple of interactions at work where Richard and another ground crew guy were pointing and flipping switches in the cockpit of a SkyWest aircraft parked at SeaTac. When someone encountered the two in the cockpit, they told him, oh, we're just, training to use the aircraft's auxiliary power units so that we can tow it. But this guy said it was suspicious that they left when they were confronted. And the other incident was that Richard had been in the cockpit of another plane and asked about the flows, which is the pre-flight preparation that's done for takeoff. Mm-hmm. Some coworkers said that Richard had probably trained himself to fly using amateur flight simulation software. Mm-hmm. Horizon Air CEO Gary Beck stated that as far as the company knew, Richard did not have a pilot's license. Beck said the aerial maneuvers were incredible and that he did not know how he achieved the experience that he did. In a statement the day after the crash, Richard's family said, quote, "This is a complete shock to us. We are devastated by these events, and Jesus is truly the only one holding this family together right now. Without him, we would be hopeless." They said Richard was a faithful husband, a loving son, and a good friend. As the voice recordings show, Bebo's intent was not to harm anyone. He was right in saying that there are so many people who loved him. The radio transmissions of Richard's flight were released online, which immediately sparked a meme, and people started calling him Sky King.
Okay.
And he's like, he was kind of a beloved hero of sorts after that. People have this like soft spot for Richard.
Wow.
And that's it. That's the story of the Sky King.
That is wild. And why do I
This is all caught on film. Like when it happened, like, you know, all the news crews like filmed the fuck out of all of it.
I only vaguely remember this.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What? Why do you think? I mean, did he just snap? Did he have a psychotic episode?
I don't know.
And took his own life.
Yeah, he just nosedived it. They absolutely could have guided him in.
Mm-hmm.
They could have guided him in. He could have come back alive. He would have faced some dire ass fucking consequences.
For sure.
That was like at the time, that was a plane that was valued at like $30 million.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, his poor wife.
Right?
What? That is wild, sister.
Mm-hmm.
What made you remember that?
You know what? I think I came across a TikTok and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. I remember that story. And I went digging.
You have the best chaos stories.
So do you. Don't even.
Oh man, that was wild. Thank you for that.
You're so welcome.
Well, we did it.
We did it.
We sure did.
You guys, this time I can say for certain that we had virtual wine night and it was fucking amazing. Sarah, we see you. We see you down there in Perth.
Yeah, we do.
Come pop it in for 2 minutes before you run off to work. We love you. You're amazing. Yeah. All the Chaos Kids Club members are amazing. All the Chaos Kids in general are amazing, but virtual wine night was
on point.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
Yeah, we did.
We had a good time.
If you want to have a good time like that, join the Chaos Kids Club.
And then you could be like Megan P. and you could tell your kids, I do not have a parasocial relationship with Amber and Naomi. I have an actual social relationship with Amber and Naomi.
That's right. We are real ass people. We will.
We are real ass people and we are really here for you.
That's right.
Patreon.com/crime, wine, and chaos.
You're doing so good.
It's $5 a month. It's $5 a month. You get a free bonus episode every month. You get new episodes a day early every week. And every once in a while, we have virtual wine night, and you can be a part of it.
Yeah. And it's fun. And we'll see Brian at the next one. Right, Brian?
Absolutely.
That's right. Oh, sister. I love you.
I love you, too. That was so
chaotic. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Wine and Chaos is produced by 8th Direction Records. Artwork by Joshua M. Davis. Music by Paul Abner. If you would like to support the show, you can visit our Patreon page at crimewineandchaos.com/Patreon. Cheers.
Crime, Wine, and Chaos. Wait, I did it wrong.